Alright, is 151 Overshadowing Celebration. So everyone knows that Celebration is gonna rise with the third anniversary coming. I think it comes within about a year. I think Celebrations was released about October, about 4 years ago, like 2021 or something. And the only thing that's really selling is ETBs. So ETBs still sell pretty consistently, sell about every day. Like you see this 2 day break. Otherwise, it's selling every day. It sold one yesterday. Celebrations prices have been pretty stagnant. ETBs have been rising back up. And they're gonna probably cross like 255, 260, but nothing too major right now. As I said before, ETBs are being selling, so PCTBs are also included. They're generally selling every day, especially recently. They took this 2 day break. There was a little bit fewer sales than earlier, but generally they're selling like every day. Still trying to break $400. But then, like, the hype item, like, probably the best celebration item is probably the UPC. Has a lot of great cards in it, and it just, like, went, like zero sales. Ever since September 4th, pretty much no sales. It's been pretty much 10 days without sales, except for this one over here. And it's a really great product, but when I look at the price points and I know what's happening with 151, and 151's been going crazy, I just have to compare it to the UPC 151. And um, the UPC just seems like, hey, is like this is cheaper by by like 50% than the Celebrations UPC. It's just like I might rather have the 151 one just because it's a much better set, be more hyped and whatever. Who knows? Like last bull market, the UPCs were in flavor and out, but like with like the 151 ETB PCTB going 1,000, like honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to 1,000. Within but not too far away. Like we make price predictions, and a lot of times like we're like, oh, by end of the year it's like, oh, it's actually by end of the month or by end of 2 months. So I'm just looking at the price points, and it's like that's why I'm not as excited to get celebrations products. Like there's some like listings and stuff. It's just not as great of a buy sometimes. And I also look at packs. So packs are 17.50 now at the cheap side. And the other day, I think I saw a listing where there was like one of these listings where it was like 17.50 plus shipping or something like that. And I think the number of listings with 17.50 has actually increased. Like these four, I'm counting these four. Well, actually, this one only has one pack, but like this one, you divide the shipping out, it's pretty much zero shipping. So like just more $17.50 packs are showing. There's a little more desperation. Meanwhile, 151 packs have gone up quite a bit. We already saw this happen with Palladium Fates, but I looked at this yesterday, and 151 packs are essentially $15 now. Like, yeah, you can still get them cheaper and whatever, like Brilliant Wars or whatever. But you look at the loose price pack, this seller is selling at like 14.50. There's not much. There's like a zero coin before that. There's some day packs. Otherwise, it goes straight to $15. It's like $15 for a 151 pack or a celebrations pack, which it doubled recently, but it's still not as good. Like I don't think so. Like 150 won't go out of flavor the same way Celebrations did. Like Celebrations, unfortunately, just some of the cards like got out of style over time. And then you did see that also. I mentioned the UPC had like fewer sales. The chest also had fewer sales recently, just selling only one since September 7th. Also been pretty stagnant as well. And just some of the other items in case you're interested. This figure collection had a few more sales around the beginning of September, first week of September, and then just went stagnant a little bit. This Prime collection had a few sales recently. 3 month graph shows that just had a few sales in the later in the month, but yeah, a few more sales recently. Sold one yesterday, and then this Maintain display actually had three sold yesterday. Still around the same price. It's matching the same price that sold before at about just under 300. It's kind of where it's hovering at right now. All right, so for Sword and Shield, what you're seeing is a little bit resurgence of demand and price rises for the later half of Sword and Shield. So the last four sets, except for Lost Origins, so Brilliant Stars, Astral Radiance, Civil Tempest, kind of like the middle tier sets that they're not like Evolving Skysor, but they're still considered good sets. So Silver Tempest back up $25. Astral Radiance up to new high of 435, up $10, and then Brilliant Stars up $15 at 555. So here's what I'm seeing. So Astral Radiance at a new high. So this has been kind of the most obvious thing coming. Demand is very kind of, I don't know, spacey, sporadic. I don't know how to call it. It just has these big chunks of days, like 3 days in a row without sales, and then it'll pick up in sales again. But yeah, the number of boxes listed is like really little, and it's just kind of pretty obvious. Like the price point kind of makes sense for a lot of people. It's like cheaper than like Paldea Evolved and other stuff. It's a pretty old box, and we're getting to the point where a lot of the supply has been flushed out, and a lot like you're just seeing sellers don't have a lot that they're trying to dump, and the price are like really good. So it goes like 435, 450, 480. Like we are really close to $500 actually, for this set. Um, for Brilliant Stars, I noticed this for some boxes. So I noticed a bunch of boxes, like they're heading to a new price point. Like, Brilliant Stars is heading to 600, and then it sort of retracted, and like the price would drop to like, 580, 560, 540. But then I started noticing a number of sellers available was decreasing, and so Brilliant Stars has been that case. So I'm not surprised that now, I think there were two sellers yesterday with there are two sellers with about two boxes each. Now there's only one left. I do see two sold yesterday. And so, like, yeah, the number of sellers is like, whether it's like low supply or just people don't want to hold it or whatever. Now there's only one left, and it goes straight back to 595. So, yeah, I mentioned that like the 540 ish price may have been the bottom, or at least the current bottom at the moment. And then Silver Tempest, so this one has been pretty obvious. It sells like pretty consistently like every day. There's a little bit of gap here, but generally like it only takes up most of a day break. It's been selling really consistently, and there's always been some boxes below like 495, 500. Those boxes keep getting bought up, especially with the demand. So this has been pretty obvious. There was like another cheap box available. Now we're back at like 580. If this gets low, we go back to 595. It's not necessarily gonna rise much, but there's been enough demand that people keep like kind of buying it. Vivid Voltage. So I'm just seeing what has picked up in sales of Vivid Voltage. So ever since Battle Styles went to 300, I've been eyeing Vivid Voltage. Some people have talked with Amazing Rares, so it took a big break. Like it's about 4 days of finding sales, and recently I sold a few. No real price changes, and I guess it's just trying to head to like 270 or something. So it doesn't have the best price or anything, but it's picking up a little bit, and it is a pretty cheap box. Some people will go after it. Fusion Strike, as I mentioned before, also has picked up in sales. So you see the last couple of days, it's been selling like like 4 boxes here, 2 boxes here, after having a really long break of like all this. I don't know, that looks about 5 days, looks about 3 days without sales. Yeah, Fusion Strike compared to Lost Origin, Fusion Strike I'm a little more optimistic about of possibly recovering back if they do recover. Just because like I'm just counting down number of boxes. There's a little bit of quantity here, but yeah, with the demand picking up, these can't get bought out. Versus Lost Origin, like the supply keeps getting more. It's under like 900, which is the next price target, and it was selling like kind of like every day-ish, but despite that, like it wasn't really enough. And there's a little more breaks over here. Evolving Skies, everyone's favorite set. So it sold 0 yesterday, 1 today. I'm not really sure what's happening with Evolving Skies right now. The price is kind of settling around 2,700 right now, but it keeps like flip flopping a little bit. It could go 2,700, 2,800, whatever. No big buyouts. Like there's been barely any days when it sells more than 1 day. It's been selling about every other day, every 3 days, something like that. It kind of depends. I'm not exactly sure what's happening right now, but there's not like intense momentum. But it is selling okay for such an expensive box. Like this is not a bad pattern for such an expensive box. And then counting on Evolving Skies isn't usually a good bet. Battle Styles went on that huge run, hasn't had any sales in 2 days. Still trying to break into like past 310 a little bit. Chilling Rain, also similar to Brilliant Stars, but not quite the same. But it also dropped a bit, and then now it's back to about 580. Hasn't had a ton of sales lately, but yeah, it's still kept strength. Like boxes under about 600 or about 580 have been bought up, and then the first 3 boxes haven't had really any updates. Alright, for Scarlet Violet, the only real price update is that City in Flames went down about $5. Looking at the demand, so Scarlet Violets, as I mentioned before, there's only 1 box left under 250. There's a few more boxes sold, so 2 sold yesterday, 1 sold today. And it's just trying to break the 250 mark. A lot of them are budgeting around 250 or 255. But I am looking out for this as like some buyouts happen before April. And then for Paldea Evolved sold 2 yesterday, and I'm just waiting for people to stop trying to undercut Paldea Vault. I'm not sure how long it'll take. Sometimes it takes up to a month. RJ Breaks is trying to undercut it. I don't know how much supply they have, but usually they have quite a bit. Otherwise, like all other sellers want to sell around like $494 or $500. Paradox Rift I is starting to pick up at least a few more dollars. So one sold yesterday. Moby's Corner I don't remember if it was 560 or 562. I see 562 here. But I do see like all of a sudden you can go from, I think the highest was 260 for Paradox. You go to 262 pretty quickly just to match over here because people are undercutting Moby's Corner. Otherwise, I'm still like eyeing this price chart. A lot of people want to sell Paradox or more. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a big buy or something one day of Moby's Corner, especially because you do split the shipping cost a little bit if you buy like a bunch of them. But we'll kind of see about that. There's always going to be sellers with more supply. But the price chart of Paradox has always been has always been there. It goes up to 290 pretty quickly if this listing just kind of went away. Obsidian has been pretty slow, selling one per day the last couple of days. It's down $5. Just some cheaper boxes from this seller over here. Otherwise, it goes back to 330 after like these two sellers. I mean, here's 325 and then 330. So just a little more stagnant right now. Not as exciting. I mean, honestly, Obsidian isn't the most exciting sets. People tend to like it enough. But compared to Paldea, like it's not really a competition. Temporal Forces and Twilight, they had a semi spike in sales. So three sold yesterday for Twilight, and then four sold yesterday for Temporal. Or I said the opposite, but you get about 3 or 4 boxes sold for each of them. And we just keep trying to break 360 for Temporal. For Twilight, that has a little more potential. So I'm just trying. It's aiming for pretty strongly for 325. Except that, yeah, I forgot. Twilight has a ton of supply from like all these sellers over here. Like a lot of people have multiple boxes, especially at the beginning over here. And Stellar Crown still at 250, sold Wednesday a little slower, just like not really as much happening, just trying to go up a few dollars. Surging Sparks, I keep eyeing when it will go up. And right now Devastation is just the main seller. Everyone else doesn't really have that much. And then the price does rise to 270. I just really want to see this at like 270. That wraps things up for this video. I hope you walked away with a better understanding of the market. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for more deep dives in the Pokemon market. Tell me what's the next big investment you're considering in the comments. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you all later.